Philadelphia Union 2021 MLS Season Preview. I am Mike Guglielmi, your host, Sons of a Pitch Soccer Podcast. Absolutely delighted to be bringing you the reigning Supporters Shield Champions 2021 Season Preview. Now, before we get started, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any awesome American soccer content from here on Sons of a Pitch. Now, let's talk a little bit about last season. Supporters Shield Champions, 47 points with a plus 24 goal differential. A great season for the Philadelphia Union, the first piece of silverware that Philly has ever won in MLS. Now to the bad news. The first round playoff exit to New England. Disappointing, but I actually personally called it. I thought that they celebrated the Supporters Shield a little too hard. It was too big of a deal to the players, and that was like their championship. Now, for me personally, I actually prefer the Supporters Shield champion winner over MLS Cup winner. I think to be like the rest of the soccer leagues in the world, the full season, the full body of work means more to a team in soccer than it does for a playoff run to get hot and go through some games. So I think the Supporters Shield is a huge accomplishment for Philly, and they look to build upon that going forward this season. Now, first, let's talk a little bit about the players that are coming in and the players that have gone out in this offseason. So just as a note, it is March the 9th at time of recording. Again, these things can change. If you're watching this a week before the season starts, on April 10th, a lot can change from this recording. But still lots of great information. Make sure you stay tuned till the end, all the way to the end, where I give my predictions for the Philadelphia Union and their 2021 MLS season. So players in: Nathan Harriel, a homegrown player; Jack McGlynn, another homegrown; Paxton Aronson, little bro of Brendan. Paxton has now joined. Also, Brendan Craig, Quinn Sullivan are homegrown signings. And then the one signing that just came through a few days ago, Stuart Finley, the transfer from Kilmarnock in Scotland. So the Scottish center back there, Stuart Finley. Now, players out: big brother of Paxton, Brendan Aronson, transferred to Red Bull Salzburg. Mark McKenzie transferred to Genk. Aurelian Collin is out of contract. I believe he retired. Warren Creval had his contract option declined. Michi Neglina, contract option declined and signed with the Colorado Switchbacks. Forward Andrew Wooten also had his declined and signed with Admira Wacker. And then just recently, Raymond Gaddis retired. Raymond Gaddis had a couple great conversations with Raymond on Instagram. So Raymond, congratulations on your retirement. If you're watching, I'm sure you are. Thanks for checking it out. So there's your players in and players out. For me, as kind of a recap, the players in, other than the one signing of Stuart Finley to replace but I don't even think he's going to start. Stuart Finley could possibly replace Mark McKenzie in the defense, but still a big hole to fill from Brendan Aronson moving across. Probably one of the best players, if not the best player for Philly last season. I think they still have a little bit of work to do before the season begins. Maybe one more signing would put them back to where they were last season. So overall, a little bit more out than in this offseason for Philly, but nothing that can't be overcome by Jim Curtin and his team. So let's talk a little bit about the designated players. Designated player review is one. There's only one designated player for Philly, Jamiro Montero, the only DP. So many good players on this team. I'm surprised that it's only one, that there's only one DP and that he is the one DP. The number 10, he's actually a lot of talk of him actually playing the number 10 this year. He's played more of kind of a central mid and more of a back defensive mid type position, kind of swinging between those two over the past few seasons. Apparently there's a lot of talk of him moving to play more of another, like a cam central attacking midfield role this season. So hopefully will. I think he has the talent to do that, and they're paying him like he should. So hopefully he does. Now, 3 goals and 6 assists in 22 appearances last season. This is a decent year, but again, with it being a COVID year, you kind of have to remove all all designations of a season with that COVID season, honestly. A bad season or a mediocre season, how choppy it was and how different of a year it was, gets thrown out the window. Jamiro Monteiro, a good player. I would like to see Philly bring in another DP to supplement him in probably in the midfield, possibly as a forward position. But that's it for the designated players. Just the one, Jamiro Monteiro. Now to MLS Cup odds. For this season, the odds makers in Vegas have Philadelphia Union coming in as of time of recording at plus 1,100. Good odds towards the top of the table. They expect Philly to be good again this year, as do I. So that's kind of the thought process from Vegas. Plus 1,100. Good odds if you're a betting person to a team that could build upon the Supporters Shield Championship victory of last season and possibly play it differently this year. Instead of going after the Supporters Shield with everything they have, maybe going after a playoff run instead. Now, quick little note here. Make sure you guys check out the join button right down below. Join Sons of a Pitch Soccer as a member. You're going to get some awesome perks. We have two different levels, the starter level as well as the designated player level. Come join the Sons of a Pitch Soccer community as a member. Lots of awesome perks, especially keeping your name in all live streams being scrolled across the bottom. Lots of fun to join, which we actually just launched as of a couple days ago. So make sure you hit that join button down below. And you can also find our merch located at Redbubble, sonsofapitch.redbubble.com. We've got everything: shirts, hats, masks, cups, all kinds of different stuff. Go check it out and pick up some awesome merch and continue to help the sport of soccer grow here in the United States of America. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Breakout Youngsters. This section of the preview is always a interesting one for me because we're a national podcast with Sons of a Pitch, and we cover everything MLS as well as CONCACAF. It's hard to keep track of the players that are coming up through academies for every single team. Now, for me personally, see, the Blue Jays had I'm a Toronto FC guy. I know the Toronto FC Academy pretty well, but Philly, not so much. Portland, not so much. It's hard to keep track of all these guys. So we head over to Reddit and we try and get some inside information from the Reddit team over there at the Unions subreddit. And we got some information from them. And thank you guys for that. Paxton Aronson makes this list. Little bro, a lot of talk on whether or not he should be on the Breakout Youngsters list because he's too small. But and since he's just 17 years old and just came on as a homegrown signing, will he actually get the chance to break out this season? I think he will, because what his brother did, same deal. He was too tiny too by those odds, and look at what he did in his time in MLS. I expect to see Paxton Aronson getting some minutes. I don't expect him to be a starter. I don't expect him to be a superstar by the end of the year, but I expect him to break out to the point where you know his name, as well as casual MLS fans will know Paxton Aronson's name. And not just because of his brother, Brendan, but because of Paxton. He had a couple goals and assists last season in the USL, playing for Philadelphia Union 2. So he has shown he can hold his own at the professional level. So I'm excited to see what Paxton Aronson brings this season, not only from a USMNT perspective, which we do a lot of USMNT stuff over here at Sons of a Pitch. I'm excited to see what he can do there with his brother at that level, possibly a few years down the road. But I'd love to see his MLS growth be strong, just like Brendan, and then eventually move on to Europe. Now, the second breakout youngster, Jack DeVries, 18, almost 19 years old. I believe he turns 19 before the season even starts. 4 appearances, only 12 minutes last season for the first team. This is a guy who we looked at for this last season as well. Only the 4 appearances, 12 minutes, just 4 sub appearances, and literally, when you break that down, 3 minutes apiece on average. He played the opener for the USL side, Philadelphia Union 2, and then he was brought into the Union side, the first team, which, again, he didn't appear much, and then played the final 2 matches for Philadelphia Union 2 in USL towards the end of their season. So to me, this is a player, the reason why I put him on this list is this is a player who's in limbo. This is his year to break out. He has to break out this season. If he does not, I think it'll probably be too late for him, and you'll see him move to a USL side and try to kind of be one of those career guys trying to get another shot in MLS. At 19 years old, at the beginning of the season, he's had now a full season on the bench for the first team. Now it's time to start to put up or shut up, so to say. So those are your 2 breakout youngsters for the Philadelphia Union, Paxton Aronson and Jack DeFries. Now time to talk about the head coach, Jim Curtin. Head coach since November of 2014. That is a long, long time. One of the longest tenured coaches in MLS currently as an active coach. Patience has really paid off for the Union, which culminated in the Supporters' Shield victory with Jim Curtin at the helm. There was a lot of time that this guy, this guy was on the hot seat. Jim Curtin, we didn't expect him to make it through some of the rougher seasons back in 2016, 2017. And he did. The persistence paid off, as well as the patience from the ownership group. It paid off. They've got a good team. Jim Curtin has built a good team that plays his system very, very well, and it paid off with a Supporters' Shield victory, which, again, as I brought up earlier on the show, I do value that a little bit more than an MLS Cup victory, because the full body of work over the full season is very important. And with the talk of no Supporters' Shield getting given out last season due to the COVID pandemic and all that business, I am glad that it actually did. I thought that whole thing was ridiculous. I'm glad that they actually did it, and I'm glad that the Union pulled it off to pick up that first piece of silverware for the club. And Jim Curtin, you have to give a lot of the credit to that man. It's going to be key for him to be able to replace the losses that he had last year, like losing Mark McKenzie, losing Brendan Aronson. It's going to be tough for him to recoup those losses and be able to replace them and then be successful again. So that's kind of what we got to look for Jim Curtin this season. He still has a lot of the same pieces in place, so he should be okay there, but really hoping that he can pull it through. Jim Curtin, a USMNT legend at that, got a lot of time with the USMNT, a lot of time in MLS, an American soccer guy, so you love to see him succeeding with the Philadelphia Union. So Union fans, you've got a damn good coach, and hopefully he will stick around for a long time, and Philly can sustain their success for a long time as well. All right, so moving right along to the projected starting 11. So with the starting 11, it's kind of tough because you don't know what exact formation they're going to use with this team. I go back to the last game and utilize that formation. So that, in this case, was a 4-4-2. No question about it. In goal, Andre Blake, goalkeeper of the year. This guy is not, his job is not in question at all. Now, from left to right along the back line, 4 defenders are Kai Wagner, Jacob Glesnes, Elliott, and Mbazio. In the midfield, Fontana, Montero, Bedoya, and El Brujo Martinez, with the 2 strikers up top, Casper Shabilko and Sergio Santos. Still a very strong lineup. Yes, you lose Brendan Aronson, but you look at that midfield and you still have Bedoya. You have Montero who can move into that number 10 spot that Aronson was holding down last season. Fontana broke out last year. We called it. We had him on our Breakout Youngsters list in our last season preview. So if you want to go check that one out from beginning of last season before the whole COVID pandemic, go for it. That would be, it's fun. I watch all of the old ones the next year. It's kind of fun to watch and see how it all panned out. But we did not have some kind words for Philadelphia going into the 2020 season. At least I said that they had a shot to make some ground. My partner Nick, who's no longer with Sons of a Pitch, he had stated that it's a rebuilding time. Philly needs to just rebuild and go from there. And look what happened, right? So overall, a very strong lineup. Shabilko and Santos, 2 strikers. Shabilko kind of had a bit of a down year last year compared to what he had in 2019. I expect him to regain that 2018 or that 2019 form. As far as Sergio Santos, that takes us into the next segment, the most important player. For me, it's Sergio Santos. No question about it. He needs a big season like last year or better for this team to have any chance at repeating to get some silverware. Now, take the U.S. Open Cup out of the equation. I think this team, even if Santos has a bad season, could compete for the U.S. Open Cup. However, they will not win a Supporters' Shield. They will not make a run to win MLS Cup if Santos does not have a big year. Sergio Santos, last year was a big breakout for him. He was not playing well the season before that, and I think it was kind of if he doesn't do well in 2020, he's gone, and he stepped up to the plate. He did well, and it's just as important for him to be able to repeat those successes for Philly to be successful this season. So the first game of the season, right now the season is scheduled for April 17th, opening weekend, MLS opening kick. But you have the CONCACAF Champions League against Deportivo Saprissa from Costa Rica on Wednesday, April 7th. So the first game for them right into the Champions League against a tough Costa Rican team. Philly should be able to win that, but Saprissa can pull off a surprise here or there. So make sure to check that game out. So now it's the part of the show to talk about predictions. Now, before we give our predictions, make sure you subscribe down below. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any of our awesome American soccer content here at Sons of a Pitch. Predictions, ceiling and a floor for the Philadelphia Union. Ceiling, if all goes well and there's no injuries, things of that nature, I've got them going second in the Eastern Conference. That is the best case scenario for Philly. I don't think they're going to make the Supporters' Shield that much of a priority this season since they won it last year, and I think they want to go after MLS Cup this season. So now the floor, if all goes horribly, there's injuries, the signings fall apart, and Stuart Finley comes in and does nothing. You have guys leaving to another club in Europe or something of that nature. The floor is 9th in the East, barely missing the playoffs. I'm pretty sure this is a playoff team, but I think if all goes as bad as possible, you could see a 9th place finish for the Union. So there is my predictions for the 2021 MLS season for Philadelphia. Again, my name is Mike Guglielmi. Thank you guys for joining me here for the Philadelphia Union 2021 MLS Season Preview. Make sure to look out for our CONCACAF Champions League preview video, which will be coming out in just a couple of weeks. And we'll be previewing the Union's chances in that tournament. So thanks again for watching. We'll talk to you guys very soon.